Hello, everyone. This is Nico Von Akron. We're doing a Von Akron show. I think it's number 9 tonight. I wasn't going to do one today because honestly, I've been working out in my yard, busting my ass all day. I've been doing that for the last 3 days. Maybe I'll show you guys some of the progress at some point. Maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, I, I thought about it and I really wanted to talk to somebody. And I thought, who better to talk to than my good friend Dave Higgins? So Dave is
Hey.
with us tonight. Say hi, Dave.
Hello, how you guys doing?
So Dave is going to be, I think, moving throughout the house and maybe
Yeah, I
doing,
got you.
maybe
I got
doing some
stuff to do.
cooking and whatnot as we go.
Yep.
Um, so the way I start out every show when I have a new guest on is that I explain, how do I know this person? So how do I know Dave? We went to high school together. We went to Southeast High School, Northeast Ohio. Um, so I think I was probably a freshman or something, and you were a senior. Not sure. We're a couple years apart, maybe not even that much. Um, we connected over music. You gave me a ride a few times in the body mobile,
Oh my
and I
God.
don't mean that as human body, but I mean
It was pretty much the
there might have
smallest
been some
vehicle that
roadkill.
I could own, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, and you flipped that at one point too. I wasn't in
No,
there,
no, that
luckily.
was my dad. I flipped my dad's car.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the
Well,
that was
but that
the
was like a little. It was like
it was
blue.
a
Was it
two
blue?
door Tempo. We had 7 people in the car.
Yeah, for those of you that are old enough to remember the tempo.
Yeah.
Um, but we I think we were both really into industrial music. We were into
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the same art, music stuff. At that time, we were both really into Manson, both a serial killer and Marilyn Manson, I think.
Wait a
Um,
second.
yeah, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Dave. Um,
Well, I was into some weird stuff. Yeah, I
we
was,
both were
things,
for sure.
it's just,
Dave actually, then after we got to know each other, we we were in a band together. Now, I don't remember
it
what in the
wasn't.
fuck the
It
name of the
was like
band was.
the loosest definition of a band, I think.
Well, we had fun though because we had one
We had a lot
song.
of fun.
We we,
We had a lot of fun. I'm
we
actually
had
working
one or
on a
two
song
songs,
that's.
but
I'm actually working
it
on
was
one right now that is reminiscent of that one. Actually,
Manifest. Manifest was
yeah,
the name of the
yeah.
song,
And
and
I plan on
basically,
using that word. I plan on using that word in there as kind of like a an homage or whatever.
and
Because
thinking back, I don't know if we meant that as like manifest destiny or if we meant that
I
as
don't know
like
what the hell. Well, we were in high
maybe it
school,
was
so
the
we got Manifest Destiny beat into us. You know what I mean?
well, this is true, and then or maybe it was like manifest, like these are the things that are on a ship,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
Enumerated. So Dave played some keyboards there. I still have a video
I
somewhere if it hasn't been
a
eaten.
little
I'm
bit,
not going to
a
play it
little
tonight.
bit. Please do not.
I'm
Be
not going to
very
play it
much
tonight.
appreciated.
But you know what? We recorded that in this very bunker that I'm in right now, this basement. This was my grandparents' house before. Now it's my house. I mean, when we recorded this thing, we went for like 20 minutes with 4 chords, and there was just blood all over the walls. It was crazy. What is that? Are you making squid or what are you?
It's a
So this is the other thing that's gonna.
chicken bones and skin. So
This is
I
the other thing that's gonna be fun because Dave's cooking while we do this show, which is gonna be sweet.
yeah. So I basically I like chicken thigh. I think chicken thigh is a superior meat. I think people I have opinions about this, by the way.
You do?
I think people over the turn of the century got super into like boneless, skinless chicken breast, and then like what they didn't realize is that like
Well, that's all flavor.
there's another one. It's called the chicken thigh, and you can cook it and it doesn't dry out. It's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, so anyways, I used to get boneless, skinless chicken thighs, but it's kind of expensive when you have somebody else do all that,
Boneless,
cutting for you. It's
soulless
a little bit
chicken
more
thighs.
expensive, but at the same time, like the way I see it, if you get the whole thigh and bone and skin and all of it, you can put that in a pot, make your own broth, and then you're like, that's broth. And on top of it. You know what I mean? Like broth is like $3 at least when you go and buy it. When you can
Now
get it from the bone. So then I boil that and then
I
strip
couldn't
the
agree
meat
more,
off.
Dave. But Dave, you're jumping the gun. You're hijacking my freaking show here. We got to go through the order. I have a very
Okay.
meticulous order made up.
You got to
So
understand something. You got to understand something.
I
You
do.
know, with me, and I think you do, is that you know my whole existence is composed chaos. So you're just gonna have to go with the flow. I think.
We're gonna try. So I'm gonna try to rein it back in a little bit. So Dave and I, we were in this band in high school, and then I moved away or whatever. We didn't see each other for quite some time, and then I'm trying to
I want to
remember.
say it was. You know when it was? It was Bill's wedding. Right before that,
Well, that was
the
my exact next fucking question, Dave.
that's when it was, and that was 2007 ish.
So is that it? Did we
That's
meet up?
that's like a decade. So there's a decade where we didn't know each other.
So do we meet up because it was at James Renner's house, and it was for
Yes,
Bill
it was.
Mankey's wedding, or for his bachelor party? Was it there,
Yeah.
or was it at Kent State through the
No,
libertarian stuff, or did we met again
then
at
there was that. Then there was
Renner's house?
there was that. But I think no, the Liberty stuff that came later because that was after, for me, that was post 2008. You know.
Yeah, I guess. And speaking of the Liberty stuff, I just have to go through this one story
Oh
real
goodness.
quick. So during this whole Liberty thing, I ran a state representative campaign for Sonny Liston, not his real name, but anyway, we'll call him that for now.
Sonny, oh Sonny, where's he at?
Good old,
is he watching
Sonny
right now?
Liston. Put your dukes up. So we ended up being good acquaintances with Jimmy Trafficant, and he was awesome. I really liked the guy.
God, I can't believe they killed him with the tractor.
Yeah, who killed him with the tractor? I think it might have been him. Look, I got a lot of friends out in the Mahoning Valley. I don't want to say anything about this, but we became friends with him. He did a campaign event for us, and he said, "Hey guys, all of our folks that were there, why don't you come out to Washington D.C.? I'm going to be at this forum, and I'm going to speak. And you can be my guest." Well, let's not get into retrospect yet.
This trip, I just want to put a disclaimer out there, okay? In retrospect, sure. I'm actually I love the picture that we got at that. I have that picture of all of us standing with Jimmy Trafficant. I love that picture.
Was that at Tangier or was that in Washington, D.C.?
I feel a little slimy due to the venue. I don't know if you feel that way as well.
Well, I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that in just a second, Dave.
I have a reputation here, okay?
Well, I'm going to protect it by preserving your innocence in this whole story, as well as my own. Okay, so we end up out in Washington D.C. We stay at some place on I think it was Jefferson Davis Highway or something, some little hotel in Virginia, and we head into Washington D.C. Now, of course, we're in D.C., so we're taking the subway. We take the subway and we get off at the wrong stop, and now, as we were driving into DC, by the way, there was just like the most historic snowstorm in DC that they have ever had. I mean, we were driving through a tunnel in my Jetta. And so we get there, it's still like completely iced over. We get out the wrong stop. No, I think this was the stop for the public housing in Washington, D.C. And nobody was really out and about. There were a couple folks, but we get out, we start walking to this shitty hotel where they're having this event for some group called Amren.
It was kind of, but I actually liked the look of the hotel. It was shitty, but like at some point in time, it was beautiful.
Well, and that was an event by Amren, stands for American Renaissance, which turns out to be a group that maybe I don't want to be associated with. So, we walk down, the sidewalk or whatever, like Dave is there. He looks, because, you can see Dave on the video right now. and you can see him cooking. But this dude is tall. He looked like a fucking Viking. Nobody was going to mess with us as we were walking to this event at the hotel. So we get in there. We get into the hotel. Jimmy's there. Jimmy Trafficant. He says hi for a second. You know, I see a lot of groups and people there that I'm like, wait a minute, is this sort of like a little bit of a white nationalist meeting?
Yeah, and there's a point in time during that. I mean, I think we all joked about it also, that we are like in the the lion's den or something.
Well, until we sat down, because there were a lot of folks there that were questionable.
Hey, we were getting free food. I was there for free food. I just want to put that out there, but I was there for free food.
He was there for free food. I was there.
And Jimmy okay, so at that point in time, I was the head of Young Americans for Liberty at my campus, and I mobilized to get Jim Trafficant, elected as a representative again. And I was actually in his first sort of like, war room, where it was like not Jim Trafficant, but Jim Trafficant's guy, I can't remember his name, called me up and
Vito.
was like, yeah.
I'm just making
he was like,
I don't know.
He was like, I don't remember who it. And somewhere I probably have that number.
Actually, it was some Italian dude's name, I believe.
I can't remember though. But he called me up and he was like, "How would you like to come be part of the first meeting discussing Jim Trafficant running?" So like, it was kind of a surreal experience to go.
Yeah, you know what? And how could you not like Jimmy? I mean, he was such a personal dude. It was all hugs. Yeah. He was a great guy. He had great stories. Now, granted, they were the same stories almost every time that he spoke.
Every time, but I don't know if you noticed this or not. But that's
every politician.
That's how you're supposed to. That's how you're supposed to be a politician.
No, that's every politician, and I've seen a lot of them over the years.
That's
exactly it. So, but to dispel any rumor, we sat down to listen to Jimbo speak at this event at this shitty hotel in Washington, D.C. in the middle of winter. And the first guest that went up on stage was, he said, the announcer said, "I'm very glad to announce that today we have the most honored guest. This is Ernst Zundel's wife." Now, a lot of people probably don't know who Ernst Zundel is. I do, because I used to run those circles. He is a Holocaust denier. And his wife was the first person up on stage. And I immediately, because I was running a campaign for this libertarian candidate right at that point, and there were lots of photographers around, I just grabbed him by the shoulders and I was like, "Get down. We need to get the fuck out of here. This is not good for you." Now, luckily, it's a libertarian candidate in a Democratic city, Akron, Ohio. So who really cares, right?
Nobody even knew.
But it was Ernst Zundel's wife was the very first speaker, the very prominent in those circles Holocaust denier. So that's a little bit of that time, and then we took a little break, Dave, and then I think the thing that sticks out most to me after that, though, was, Jesus Christ, your burger parties. These burger parties are freaking legendary. Now, was that Memorial Day or Labor Day? Let me just frame it here before you even clarify. So Dave, he had these parties. Man, they were just front porch, got the grills going. He prepared this stuff for days. He didn't even get to enjoy himself. Like,
it took about
nobody gets to enjoy themselves when they're hosting a party. But man, like, there were like, I don't know, like,
I can go through the list.
Maybe even 10 different kinds of burgers. No, well, we can do that.
It started, so when it first started,
good. I told people about this. Please.
When I first started, it was maybe like 4 different burgers or whatever. But every year I started adding more and more and more, and like started switching it up. And I think at the end there was 15 or 16 different types of burgers, including 2 different kinds of bean burgers, multiple different kinds of chicken burgers, and then multiple beef burgers also. And someone with like chopped ribeye in them, and yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely stuff. But and PJ yells at
Oh
me
yeah,
every year, "Oh, when are we gonna do it again? When are we gonna?" Well, gee, I don't know. It's like 5 days of my life that I have to devote. Because the last one, if you remember, I
5 whole
attempted.
days of your life, Dave.
Sorry, but
The
no,
people
yeah,
need burgers.
I think the last time I even made the ketchup, and I made mustard, and I even made, that was the first year that I made the ginger ale, except
Yeah.
for it didn't, the ginger ale did not ferment like it was supposed to. It just wouldn't, the ginger bug in it just wouldn't wake up. And so and I actually recently, I'll show you this. I'll show everybody this. This is wonderful, wonderful stuff sitting in my fridge.
Well, as you're
Yeah.
going there, I was going to say Dave can cook and he can make stuff. That was my next point. What the fuck is a ginger bug?
This right here is a leftover from my summer ginger ale.
It looks like diarrhea water.
It's vinegar. It's straight up ginger vinegar now, is what it is. And the bug that I got, so a ginger bug. Oh dear God, that
Is
smells
that like the
amazing.
jitterbug, like that
I haven't
flip phone
used
for
this.
old people?
I haven't used this for anything yet, but actually, what I'm hoping is that I'll be able to wake up the yeast culture that's in here, and bring it back to life with a new ginger bug starting in the summer. And what a ginger bug is, it's basically, it's just a yeast. It's an airborne yeast culture that you.
So this is what they call wild yeast, right? You get out of the air.
But here's the thing: is I've had maybe this last ginger bug maybe has only been my 5th or 6th culture, and this one was amazing. It would it would brew. Like, okay, so when you bottle, so how it works is a ginger bug is, I gotta do the whole spiel, okay? So a ginger the ginger bug is basically grated ginger, water, and sugar, equal parts of all of that. You put that together for a day, right? And then and you let it sit, inside of a container with like a coffee filter on it, and I put a rubber band around it too, so the coffee filter stays on there, and that's just to keep particulates out. There's plenty of yeast in the air that you capture in there already. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And you just basically have to hope that the one of them is going to do what you want. It's going to give you proper fermentation. It's going to give you all these other things, is what I found anyways. Out of all the 5, every 5 work differently. And I've been using the same recipe the whole time.
Well, and that's my question. How many different kinds of yeast are there floating around the air? And before you answer that,
I don't know.
Before you answer that, and I mean, okay,
it's a complex problem.
A lot of people right now, they're staying home. They're trying to make some bread, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
I don't know
trying
about
to do that
and stuff. I'd love to know that or learn that.
But I think it's the same process. It's just a different ingredient. I mean, you put in the water, you put in flour. Maybe, I don't know if you put in a little.
You can get the
sugar or something.
That's what beer bread is you can get the yeast from the beer. Actually, the recently I learned.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So recently I learned the best way. I'm going to tell everybody this because everybody deserves to know how to have good beer batter. But it's absolutely the simplest thing that you could possibly imagine. It's so simple. It's absolutely stupid. I was wanting to learn how to beer batter things so I could do a fish fry and do some proper onion rings or even like, mushrooms. So I started to research, and that's what I do. I look at a whole bunch of stuff whenever I go on and like try to learn a new thing and see what's all common and everything. And I was there, and I go and read through the comments and stuff. And I started with the one that had like 5-star recipe or whatever, and I'm reading through it, and everybody's like, yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And this one comment was like, a 2-star, and they're like, this recipe is fine, but here's
bullshit.
This other one. Right. Yeah. And it was because there was just like list after list after list after thing, all these stupid things that you got to do. Right.
And to remind everybody, we're still talking about onion rings, right?
and fish. It's a beer batter. We're talking
Oh,
about
okay,
beer
a batter.
right?
Yeah, beer
Okay, and
batter.
we're also still, and just to keep everybody one point, we're also still talking about airborne yeast because
Yes.
it's such a wonderful thing. But so, or yeast in general, yeast cultures in general. So this lady was like, this restaurateur or whatever, he
Restaurateur.
retired. Restaurateur. I'm sorry, I'm so WV. It's not funny,
Plebeian.
but
Yeah. I think that's the word you're
anyways,
looking
he was retiring, and he gave up his secret. He said, basically, here's what you do: equal parts cup for cup, flour and beer.
for. Okay.
And that's it. And that's it. And then, but there's one other thing: let it sit for 3 hours. Cover it and let it sit for 3 hours, like it's a dough. And in 3 hours, the yeast in the beer reacts with the flour, because flour is carbs for it. It's going to start eating. Yeah, I'm outside, by the way.
So it reproduces at that point?
Right, and then it reproduces, and it gets it changes the consistency, the chemical, the texture of it. You know what I mean? It alters it in a way to where, I don't know if you know. I'm sorry about that beeping. What is that beeping coming from? I'm like,
That's your
so
fire
I'm
alarm.
actually out. I'm on my back porch, basically enjoying the summer night here while I'm cooking. But yeah, so the beeping was like driving me
I
nuts.
heard that. So
anyways, this dough, or the beer batter, right? You just let it sit for 3 hours, and then it like instantly grabs onto fish and onion. I don't know if you ever tried to make onion rings, but like
no,
every
I
single
have not.
time the batter sort of like slips off the onion ring or slips off the fish.
I've
and it's
had
just
them like
so
that
annoying.
though. Not that I've made, but yeah.
But so yeah, this batter is perfect. So you drop it in the oil, and it cooks, and you pull it out, and you can see like the water under the shell of the batter boiling inside the thing. It's like it's perfect, and like it's just perfect. So equal parts flour and water, or flour and beer. Just let that stuff sit.
I wonder if you could use that same formula, maybe not to the exact same ratios, but if you could use that to make yeast to make bread. Because I know that's what a lot of folks are very interested in doing that. And like we are too. We bought some yeast at the store, but like getting a sourdough culture together would be, like the sourdough, like you buy the yeast at the store, the fast rise yeast or whatever that they usually sell. I mean, it's good and the bread is good, but that sourdough bread, man, it's like, it's like fleshy almost. It's so good on the inside. Yeah. You can get it nice and crispy on the outside. It's just really good shit.
I don't know a lot about baking, unfortunately.
Why the hell not?
I make a hell of a pizza. Yeah, I don't know. So my pizza parties were just ridiculous, but you never got to come to those, I believe.
I did not get to go to the pizza party.
They're also, yeah. So
went to enough of those in middle school.
I haven't done one in a long time. My landlord's got to come in and change out my carpets before I do another party, basically.
But do you know, like, I mean, just random guess, because I know you studied this a little bit, like how many different types of yeast are floating around in the air? I mean, are there different kinds, or like,
I mean, you're in front of a computer. I don't want to, I just Google it right now. That's what I do.
All right. You know what? I'm not here to help people. I am here to
Google it. Who's watching. Is anybody actually watching right now? Just Google it.
I'm sure there are. And you know what? You bastards can Google it yourself, but there are lots of different types of yeast in the air.
The wisdom of crowds. Bring in. So here's the thing. Wisdom of crowds says that
this is funny. Hold on 1 second, Dave, because my next point was Dave is good at maths. So
I'm trying to compose the chaos just to make your life easier.
Yeah, so we said the wisdom of crowds, and that's interesting because that, that ties into what we're doing now, even.
Right, yeah. So, like, the whole thing where, okay, so maybe somebody's got a big gumball machine. They got a bunch of gumballs in it, and they're going to give away a prize if you guess how many gumballs are in it, right? So the whole idea is that if everybody if you add up everybody's guess and then take the average of it, what you get is the approximation of what the actual answer is, and it's the wisdom of crowds. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what we were talking about before that. Why that was important.
I don't even know why it's relevant, but you know what? That's okay because
But
you know
it's a
I did my
pretty
religion.
interesting thing.
You know I did my religion show yesterday, and that was, even though people weren't necessarily getting there, that's what I got out of it, is that we were talking about approximating something. Which, you know, we'll have to have a philosophy / religion show,
We can
just
do
me
that.
at some point. But I want to get to a couple more points about you that I find interesting,
Okay.
believe it or not. Dave knows mushrooms. That is my other point.
I mean, not
mushrooms.
not
Well,
not.
you
There's a
know
lot of
well enough.
mushrooms.
You know
I
well
know
enough
here.
to find one that you like, bring it home. So what do? You forage through the woods like a little squirrel, and you find your mushrooms, and you make some delicious stuff. What is your technique, and what are your favorite mushrooms that you find out in the wild?
So if this is something that anybody's interested in doing, it's really simple. And this is kind of like the thing with with anything right now. You can find there's a YouTube out there, or there's a Facebook group for it. Whatever hobby you can think of, that's there. And there's people there that are already very knowledgeable usually. And so like what I did was, my home business, my business here, um, my commission painter, I have a Facebook page. So I'm often tied to the Facebook, even though I hate it so much. I'm tied to it. Because I'm tied to it, I put things on there that will entertain me, and I find entertainment in learning new things that I've had interest in, but never attempted. And it doesn't, with most things, it doesn't take long for somebody, if they just get motivated to get into it, to actually absorb a lot of useful information. And I want to say, my first season when I started foraging, I didn't actually swallow anything that I foraged.
No?
But one thing that I knew what it was. I knew for sure what it was.
Wait, when did you start? How many years ago?
3 or 4 years ago, maybe.
Okay, because I was going to say, for the last couple of years, you've been showing all these amazing shrooms that you've definitely been, or you've just been misleading me. You're like, yeah, you can totally eat this, and I could have ate it, and I could have died. Thanks.
Right. there's some. Okay, so don't, if you're going to get into this, don't eat any white mushrooms with white gills. Like, don't do it. Okay, that's all there is to it.
Stay away from whitey.
I'm just staying. I won't touch one. No, not because there's two of them. There's one called like the Destroying Angel.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
it sounds like a sweet album.
Beautiful, elegant white mushroom with these beautiful gills, and it just absolutely kills you.
Absolutely kills you.
But yeah, absolutely. But the thing is that, so on those mushroom groups, everybody's on there who wants to learn. And so what they do is they're all out foraging, and they take pictures and they post it on there. And then you get to learn there's certain individuals in the group that know how to identify, and they know them every time. And as they call it out every single time, if you do your research, you're like, okay, well, I'll look it up. I'll look up that name, and I'm going to learn about it now. And then it just goes from there. It just sort of snowballs. And that's what you start realizing is that there's seasons in which this stuff pops up, because there'll be a season where the morels are coming up now, so there's that season. So you start seeing people post pictures of that, and you'll start seeing people. I saw a picture today, and a lot of times they'll put their kids on there, right? And they'll say, hey, look at all these wonderful mushrooms with my kids. And this guy totally had a bunch of false morels, like really poisonous stuff, and most mushrooms are just going to make you wish.
So there's a false morel that is very poisonous.
Yeah, and they totally had the false morel sitting right there, and his kid was like presenting.
What happens if you eat one?
Are these? I think that particular one is like if you eat enough of them, it might be able to take you out. But like most mushrooms that are poisonous are just going to make you wish you were dead, most likely.
Oh, I've been there before. Yeah.
So, but The thing is that the ones that are edible and really tasty and really abundant are actually really easy to identify.
And that's
And those mushroom groups, you start seeing the seasons because everybody's posting the pictures and everybody's asking for ID, and you start being able to see it. You're like, oh, that's that. And so then when you're out actually foraging, that's what you see that and you're like, I know what that is now, and there's some certain telling signs for certain ones, or whatever. But the ones that I like the most are they grow in the fall. The hen of the woods is what I like the most. I
hen
actually
of the
still have to
woods.
draw it. Hen of the
Yeah.
woods, yeah. I got a huge chicken of the wood also. And these are big giant. The chicken of the wood came off my
But
aunt's tree,
these are
and it
different.
must.
These are different mushrooms. The hen of the
Yeah, the
wood and
chicken
the
of the wood.
chicken.
The chicken of the wood actually has a almost like a fatty, meaty texture, right? It's almost like a hot dog. You know what I mean? Like fatty and meaty. It's like that kind of texture, and it tastes like chicken fat when it's cooked in butter, basically. And
Sure.
but it's super rich, and like I can't do but a petal of that thing, and a petal might be like I don't know, an ounce, 2 ounces, 2 ounces of it. And there was literally probably 300 pounds of this mushroom growing on
Oh
my
shit.
aunt's tree. And at the same time, that it's like, if you were to sell that, to a restaurant, a high end restaurant or whatever, just harvest it all and go sell it to as many restaurants as you possibly can. I mean, you're looking at between $10 and $20 a pound, probably. So
Hey,
at 300, a 200 pound harvest even would just be absurd in how much you can make. The problem is in Ohio, you can't actually sell wild mushrooms.
oh,
So
oh,
it's
that's
really sad. So I've been thinking about doing like uh getting certified over in Pennsylvania because you're allowed to do that over there. And then anytime I get a harvest, just
and you can import them from Ohio.
I'm I haven't looked into it anymore. I just know that you can get certified in Pennsylvania,
Also, do
and
you
so
speak
that's as far as my.
do you speak Yinzer too? Because you gotta understand that language to negotiate.
Well, I don't
Yin-
know. I'm just looking. I mean, if I could get a good harvest and then drive over to Pittsburgh and make $600, I'd do that because I'm the king of side jobs. You know that.
Yeah, you could trade those for some Yingling. Oh wait, you can buy that here.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
Yingling, I'll say this. Yingling used to be the most magical beer because it was like it was smooth, it was awesome. They only sold it in Pennsylvania and places east. And now that they sell it here, I could give two shits less about Yingling. It doesn't even taste good. It's
Um,
kind of acidic. I don't know. But getting back to that. So Dave,
sorry, one
you
second. One second. I gotta
wait a second.
I gotta run the thing. Okay, go ahead.
He's cooking his Cox of the Forest mushrooms over there.
No, this is straight up. Remember, this is chicken.
Oh,
I'll show you the. Here we got it up. We got it up here. Here's my pantry here. Here's these are maitake mushrooms, dry. They almost smell like socks, like
do they
dirty socks.
do they grow in Ohio?
These are this one year I harvested like 60 pounds in like one day, and those are expensive. And these are the
Yeah, I
these
thought
are
that
the chicken in the woods. They're
I thought
dried.
those were some Nippon shit. I didn't think they grew here. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the maitake. I'm sorry, maitake and hen of the woods is the same. It just came out because
Oh, okay.
yeah, maitake and hen of the woods is the same mushroom. So the
So
maitake, so the Japanese call it the maitake mushroom. This mushroom grows all over the world. And this particular mushroom,
okay.
the maitake mushroom, it actually fights cancer and lowers blood pressure and lowers cholesterol. Like
What
it's
kind of
like
cancer does
really
it fight?
healthy. And when you fry it in butter, it tastes like a filet mignon. It's like tender like that. It's tough for a mushroom, but for a piece of
I've
steak,
eaten
it's
them.
really goddamn
Yeah.
tender.
So what kind of cancer does that fight?
I don't know the research. It's
You
been
said that.
so there's a lot of mushrooms. There's a lot of mushrooms that have cancer fighting properties. And when I got into it, my dad was fighting cancer at that point in time, so it was somewhat of a motivation. I actually did find some when he was alive. I had found some turkey tails, and they're mushrooms that look like turkey tails that grow on dying and decaying branches. And I correctly identified it, and I told him, I was like, I'm 99.5% sure this is a turkey tail, and you can make a tea out of it, and it helps fight cancer. And he was reluctant because he comes from the same generation that told me, hey, if you're going to screw with mushrooms, you're going to die. So
Yeah.
there's a certain amount of anxiety with.
There's a certain amount of truth in that too. I mean, you gotta be up on it. Look, Dave, you're outside now. I was gonna say, let's just do a quick cooking with Dave so I can get up and take a break for a second so I can use the restroom.
Oh God, I see. Yeah, okay. Well,
Dave,
so
I will be right back, and then I've got more questions for you. Everybody, stay tuned, especially for this cooking with Dave section, because this is probably going to be part of the show. I will be right.
I see what you're doing now. Well, so before I get going, I'm going to go ahead and juice up here, get some good old teeth cleaning water.
Okay, I'll be right back.
So, whole. I'm just going to give you guys the abridged version. So this is one of my favorite sort of Mexican recipes. I haven't actually fed it to any Mexicans. I want to. I think they would really enjoy it. But it's definitely one of my favorite recipes, and I usually do it in crock pot, basically, with boneless, skinless chicken thighs. But I'm not going to give you any specifics as far as like the recipe goes, because I don't want to bring up the app on it's. I basically store all my recipes on an app on my phone, and then access it that way. And then as I do recipes, I alter them slightly or change them, whatever. So it's hard to bring that stuff up, anyways. But I just want to say that the most important thing that I find when cooking is, like, I try to add a little bit of acidity, like almost every single time, because I think it's essential for, like, body function or whatever. Vinegar and that kind of stuff is just good for you. But anywho, rambling on. He should have never let me do this. I wish you could smell it. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, so I think per pound of meat here, I use no more than about 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon of acidity. So, like, in this particular thing, I have like a teaspoon of lemon juice and a teaspoon of red wine vinegar per pound of meat, basically, or whatever. And then I also add more, like, olive oil into it also. And people are like, there's already a bunch of chicken fat in there. There's a bunch of chicken fat in there already. And people are like, why you throw more fat in there? It's like, well, because fat is filling and rich and tasty and wonderful for you. At least that's what I found. I found that.
I missed some of the cooking with Dave's segment. So
you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything.
You're adding the vinegars and whatnot just to, like, to break down the protein a little bit?
I don't know. You know what? Honestly, it does help, but you know what it really is? It adds that sort of tang, that sweetness. What I feel, anyways, is that it rounds out the flavor profile. So it's not just about what spices you're using. It's about, I got into cooking shows and stuff at, I don't know, 5 years ago. I was stay-at-home dadding at that point in time, as I am right now. And so, like, I really got into cooking. I liked cooking before, but it's so I got into watching all those shows and everything. And the one thing that I would always hear is about, you have to balance your bitters with your your acidics with your sweets and yada yada yada. So I took that to heart, and when I started adding more when I started adding more acidity to my meals, it changed things. Now there's a fine line. You don't want to go overboard
Sure.
because then it just, obviously just doesn't feel right. Now it depends on obviously which culture you're cooking to for,
Yeah,
because
sure.
some of them like more acidic. But the acidity I think is really important in our diet in general. So it's great to be able to add it. It's like I can't wait to try that ginger vinegar that I made. At some point in time, I'm going to do it when I'm not having tummy troubles.
So,
But
is the human body? Are you saying acidity is important? Is that more important than an alkaline base?
I
So,
don't
should I
know.
be drinking bleach?
Right. Yeah, no. No, what's good, well, okay, so here's the thing is sometimes um what I found is over the last couple of years is that acidity helps the digestive process move along. And now I'm off my GERD's medicine. There's only certain time. I mean, I might take one pill
What is GERDS?
for gastrointestinal reflux disease. It's acid reflux.
Yeah.
But I had such a severe case to where I thought I was having heart problems. It was so bad,
So
and I
a
got
more
all that
acidic
checked out.
diet
And
helps with acid reflux. That seems counterintuitive.
it does. It doesn't make any sense because I can eat as much salt as I want, and my salt numbers don't go up. I can eat. Actually, today, so I've been having probably for about a month now some tummy troubles that just won't go away. We had a stomach bug roll through the house, and
Yeah,
then ever
yeah, I
since
heard about
then,
that.
it just like. But I think what happened actually is after that thing vacated my body, it imbalanced my gut bacteria, and so um, eating or taking in sort of like cultured vinegar can help as a like a probiotic thing can help resettle that. And now I've been dealing with this off and on for like the last month, and it's just like not going away. And I finally, and I haven't done my vinegar. For a while there, I did like vinegar every morning, just a tablespoon of vinegar. And on those days, I realized that I didn't need my acid reflux medicine as much, which was like that don't make any sense. I told the doctors, and they're like, "That's dumb."
You know what? Though?
That don't make no sense. I
It's
don't
not
make
the
sense.
first time I've heard that.
But so, anyways, I hadn't taken it in a long time, and I was like, well, shoot, I don't have. I think I have some sauerkraut in there. I could throw that in there, but I don't have like I don't have any good yogurt around or whatever, anything else, any culture that I can throw in there. So I was like, oh, I'll start up the cider vinegar again. But today, like it was like night and day after I took it. It like released me, and I fully admit it might have been like some kind of placebo effect or whatever, but
Hey,
because
that's got almost a 50% effective rate. So I'm not going to either, right? I mean,
but it was
placebo is
almost
very interesting.
it was it was nauseating at first when you first put the vinegar down there. It's nauseating
Hmm.
for whatever, for me anyways, with a GERD's problem or issue or minor one now. But after that settles, it was worth it then, because I think what happens, especially so I do the keto thing also, or like
Yeah,
par keto. I push it because I don't feel like there's any one diet that's the right diet. I just try to find a good balance.
sure.
But I try to stay in like loose ketosis and always adapt and change up. So my body's constantly guessing because it's a jerk to me if I just let it settle.
Well, let me, I've got like two more points to bring up, Dave. Just two more
Yeah.
points here. One is that speaking of that, like sort of a placebo effect, sort of mind over matter, um, we both have experienced issues with caffeine. Now, I
Hmm.
know this. I don't know if everybody know. You guys don't know. Who the fuck am I? But so it was about.
I knew. I
It was,
knew.
it was actually about. It was when my daughter was like a year old, and so it was like 8 years ago. I developed a very severe sort of
Anxiety over
reaction.
caffeine. Yeah, I know. I did too.
Reaction
We
to
both
caffeine.
did.
Yeah,
We both
I would
did.
get this fight or flight reflex. My heart would start palpitating, and then once that happened, it would just keep escalating, and it would keep getting worse and worse and worse. I think Dave had a very similar thing. Now, would Davis seem to have been able to fix this? I have not. Yes, coffee, not a fan anymore. And by the way, I used to drink just so much fucking caffeine.
Me too. Me too. I remember one night. I'm sorry. I remember one night when I think I did I don't know how many, maybe 7 shots of espresso.
Yeah, 5 lines of blow, and you were fine.
I went to bed 2 hours later.
No, he's hey, got a places like Denny's and Brady's and stuff there in Kent. No problem, just drinking. Granted, if I drank, literally 10 cups of coffee, I would have trouble going to sleep if I drank them all at 10 o'clock at night plus, right? But so you, from what you've told me, what you figured out is that this sensitivity to caffeine was, look, it might be something physiological, but what you were able to do was do mind over matter because look, caffeine, there's a lot of ways that
it's all in your head.
I don't like it though. And I've been better.
I'm telling you, it's
better since I've stopped drinking it. But here's 2 downfalls, right? One is that, let's look at the upside actually first. One is that I have way less anxiety. I'm able to go to sleep at night. I don't.
You shouldn't drink coffee past dinner. If you're feeling sluggish at dinner, that's why people have coffee at dinner time. You know what I mean? But we have this culture now where it's just you have drive-through coffee, and that's just what there's just coffee, and fucking stimulants in cans. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you can get not just coffee; it's whatever.
Pills. It's just it's all over the place. But the thing is, I think it's honestly it's excessive, and it's not necessary. And you are right. Now that I'm back on the coffee, if I don't have the coffee, it's I'm ready for a nap by noon. You know what I mean? Whereas before, when I was off the coffee, I didn't need it. I just felt just fine. There is that effect. But honestly, it's not just about. It's also for my soul. There's some other reason why you have to drink it. It's not
Soul Coffee. Right? Wasn't that a band in the '90s? Soul Coffee? No, it's Soul
Coffee.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So I guess there's that. But I mean, to a great degree, it was a crutch because what I was able to do when I would drink caffeine was I was able to skip out on sleep. And then the next morning when I had to do things, I was able to just drink that and do what I needed to do. And then I would crash later. Now, on the flip side, I want to look at not the benefits of caffeine as a molecule or a drug, because I don't know that there are a whole lot. But with that said,
it's not the caffeine. It's the other stuff that's in there.
That's what I was going to say. As a molecule itself, I don't think there's much benefit. But the things that, well, yeah, in case I need to pee more, which I have no. But maybe some people do.
Not just pee. I mean, we're getting to that age. You know what I mean? Fiber is important too.
Speak for yourself here, son.
Fiber is important. You're going to find out real soon. A lot of you guys are. Fiber is important.
God damn it, Dave. What I was going to say is there are health benefits to coffee, tea, things like that, that go beyond anything related to caffeine. So, I mean, there are several shitloads of studies. Like with anything in modern popular science, if you just read the headlines, you're going to see probably just as many of one as you are the other. But there seem to be some positive effects of coffee. There are positive effects of tea. Now, I think in tea, a lot of that comes from the tannins, which you can also get from red wine. But the coffee in particular, there are some health benefits. So, I thought about maybe trying to drink it again. and dude, I can't even do the decaf still
Yeah, you
because the
can.
decaf still has some caffeine in it. And if I
No, yeah, it
detect it,
sure does.
I'm messed up.
You have to. It's okay. It's not going to kill you. You're going to be just fine.
But it feels
You're
like
gonna be
I'm
just
going to
fine.
die.
I know. Okay, so what? Here's the thing. The main thing is that you said to yourself you got the anxiety, or you have less anxiety now. Number one,
Realize, yeah,
that's
tons less.
so if you are already knackered, if you're already stressed and beyond, normal capacity, I don't advise, and unless the coffee itself is some kind of ritualistic, thing for you in which it rejuvenates you in
Totally
that
was.
way,
But now
right?
I just drink beer and smoke, so
Right.
cigarettes. So, much healthier
But
things now.
you have to
it's-
start with decaf, and you have to start with little amounts of it, basically, and just go from there. And when I did that, I think what happened was that whenever I cut the caffeine out, then when the body reset, it reset hard. It was a hard reset,
well, you're gonna have that. I mean,
and
anytime
then you had
some
to
you've been
really. Right, yeah, I don't know what I can't explain it, because I never realized, I never thought that I would have, that kind of reaction to coffee.
well, it's a
But
long-term chemical dependency. I mean,
I
that makes
couldn't
sense.
drink Diet Coke. I couldn't do
No,
any.
me neither. I still can't.
It's like
I'm
absurd. It's
finally
so
getting to the
absurd.
point, Dave, where I can eat chocolate, and that's about it. That's as
Oh
far
dear
as I'll
God, just
go.
eat the chocolate, dude.
I
It's
do.
okay.
I
It's
do.
okay. But start with that and mix the chocolate with the coffee.
Yeah.
Go
Get to the
go
hot
double
chocolate and
down,
all
man.
that.
No, so when I first started this thing, it was all about finding the good because decaf can be crap, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was all about finding decent decaf, and I'm lucky to have the place downtown Kent here. I was just pumping their
What's that
coffee,
place?
the Bent Tree there, the coffee
Mhm.
roasters. They got good fair trade coffee. It's like $14 a pound, but it's
God, it
like
sounds like
I only
hippie
have,
shit to me.
but it's expensive. But honestly, I do 2 cups a day at most.
Oh,
I'm
that's
up to
good.
2 cups a day, and usually, and then I might have a Diet Coke or something, like, some caffeinated beverage in the evening, but it's not often, because I don't do soda pop very often.
Yeah, I only drink water and beer. Um, so okay, I had a couple more things to cover. Maybe we'll get back together and do these some other time.
Yeah, maybe.
My big one here on my sheet, it has 3 exclamation points after it, is entropy, and I think we could probably have a whole show on entropy. So
Probably
Dave, don't
could.
even get
Yeah.
started. We'll do that some other time. And then I've got, you're a great, well, I didn't say great, I said quite good guitar player, and
I'm working on it.
you're quite good. What I was going to do real quick here too, though, and this will actually probably be our last subject for the night. I'm going to show you guys.
Oh.
So these are some of Dave's miniatures.
Now they're not my miniatures. They are.
Well, okay.
They're somebody else's figure, but I get to paint them.
So he
Yeah.
paints miniatures, and a lot of
Mhm.
people, well, a lot of people, as in like 2 I know out of thousands, get into this. So Dave, first of all, how in the fuck did you get into painting miniatures? And then what is the process? And before you get into the process, what I was most impressed with when you told me about this is you are painting with like 1 or 2 horsehairs. Is that correct?
No.
Are you painting with a whole horse?
Those are big pieces. And actually, no,
Well,
I
maybe
use
not those, but I mean,
those are big pieces. So I mean, usually there's really small brushes, but the problem with the really small brushes is that, like, it's hard to get the point to work for you. You know what I mean? So like, because how do you,
wiggly.
because you need to paint with it. If it's not actually, um, something real on the end of that brush, it's hard to paint with.
So when did you get into doing this?
So my brother had a whole bunch of miniatures, and he would pay me, like, I don't know, $5 to paint a miniature for him or something like that, or if I was lucky.
When you were a kid,
tournament is like mid-90s, basically. In '90s, I
Okay.
started doing that, and then I didn't do it for a whole long time, and then I got back into tabletop gaming, and of course, I was like, I used to be okay at painting, so I figured I'd pick it back up, and
Yeah. So, and
when I started being the stay-at-home dad here, I needed something to sort of help out a little bit, because I was going to go crazy if I didn't somehow contribute,
sure. And then,
as I, you know. So, so I started that, and then I've been doing commission painting now for 6 years or so, and I've
how does
gotten to the
somebody
point right
commission
now.
you?
Somebody doesn't. I only have one client right now, and I know
A very
and I
rich
have
and
some.
exclusive client. We cannot disclose who that is. They
I
live on a
have,
private
I have,
island. They have a helicopter that is
I don't
painted like a
know.
dragon.
Who knows?
Uh,
But and I know I have professional clients, and then I have one private client, and then it's occasionally people will send me a message asking me how much, but I usually don't have. I have so many other projects going on that I
like, dude,
don't.
you couldn't even imagine how much this cost. You could not afford it.
Right, yeah, and
Believe.
I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time, I'm just like my time is worth this. Sorry, because it
Well,
is. You know
okay.
what I
So,
mean?
you were doing this, and then a few years ago, you parlayed this into making landscapes
Yeah, and
for tabletopping.
I'm still producing that, right? And then I'm at the point right now where I have a lot of things that are ready and bottlenecked, waiting for that one to finish. And this is going to be the summer. This is going to be it. This is going to be. I'm hoping within the next 3 or 4 months, I'm going to be all done with that project, all all done.
Has any
And
of the
then
manufacturing been impacted by all this quarantine COVID
no,
19
no,
shit?
that no, kind of in a sense because my own finances are now strapped because everything's gone to hell. But
So you have them make a mold and then they
yeah,
injection
the
fill it.
that's right. No, it's not injection filled. It's just it's poured and then put in a vacuum
Okay.
chamber, pressure chamber, or whatever. But the we have I want to say production is pretty close to wrapping up. I just need to do one final push, and it'll all be sorted. And then it's just a matter of then I got to paint a whole bunch of them, but I should be able to knock those out.
So are you
Not
getting the molds, or the
so.
molded
Here's the thing.
material,
Here's what I
and then
learned.
you're painting it?
Here's what I learned from that whole process is I don't want to do production ever again. Is what I learned.
No?
Never, never.
You can
So what I do
outsource
right now,
that to.
all these other. So I'm still in the process of fulfilling that project, right?
Just doing that in the basement or what?
Yeah, in the dungeon.
Getting all
Yeah.
high off paint fumes down there, huh?
No, no, it's not. The paints aren't like that. But
Hmm.
uh, what I realize is that I'm just a guy, right? And when you rely on other people, there's there's you always everything always gets complicated, and it goes every which way. You know what I mean? Especially when you're just trying to just make it work or whatever. Um,
And that's supply
and
chain,
it's
man.
all right, yeah, and it's not. I kind of underestimated the whole process, I think, and that that was I realized that because I'm just a guy, I have no business doing that kind of situation. So it's just every day working towards finalizing that project. So now what I do is I design the um, the terrain for 3D printing. And so I don't sell any physical product. I offer up the
Oh, I see.
files, and then
So you're
it's
just
just a
selling
matter of.
you're just
So
selling the schematic,
I did another
essentially.
Kickstarter after that project, even though I'm still fulfilling, but it was just for 3D files, and I fulfilled that within I want to say 17 days. Basically, I had to wait for Kickstarter to pay me, and as soon as they paid me, I sent out the emails, and that was that. Here's the emails, and then I was all done. So
Well,
it was
take
like, so I mean, that's seeing how that worked. I was like, okay, so I have some more projects in line. that I want to do, but I don't want to do them. I don't want to commit to doing them until this is done, basically.
Well, take that, Bernie Bros, and put it in your pipe and smoke it. I don't even know what that means. But
I don't know either.
yeah, I don't know. But well, supply chain issues, whatever. So if
It
people
just is what it
need
is.
these absolutely life-saving essential services, could you plug your
Oh,
current project, please?
well, I mean, some is pretty secret right now, but
Well, the stuff that's going on that you could advertise.
so my Facebook page is Mini Grinder Studio. If you want to follow my miniature painting, and I'm also writing
And they are not tiny
role play-
sandwiches. That's what I thought at first. And they are not tiny
mini grind.
sandwiches.
No, they're not tiny tiny
Pissed me off.
sandwiches.
It's like, oh man, I could go for a mini grinder right now.
No, I have this fascination. I have this fascination with organ grinders, not like grinding up of organs, but the little monkey guys and
Yeah, the little monkey guys. Yeah.
So I have a fascination with those things. For whatever reason, I don't know.
No, they're quite cool. They're like they're like
It's-
mini calliopes, essentially.
Right? Yeah, sure. And the whole get up, I have a fascination.
Love
with the whole
hurdy-gurdies,
get up.
too.
Yeah,
Sure.
hurdy-gurdy, all of that.
Oh,
Just the way it sounds and everything. But no, that's what mini little sandwiches. I can see how you would confuse that.
Well, and I also thought about mini grinders. Like, I have meat grinders
Yeah.
at the house here, and I thought
Nobody
maybe
calls
just
a
like a
sandwich a
tiny,
grinder though, except for
a
some
t-
yuppie.
a tiny little grinder. You just put one little sliver of meat in, and it makes a little tiny hamburger. I don't know, but shit. This is all interesting. Oh, can you hear that?
I can.
I accidentally hit a
Barely.
button or a key on my keyboard.
Yeah. Barely. I can
Well,
barely hear. Look at my chicken.
all
My
right,
chicken.
that's
My
fine.
chicken's probably done now. It's
Dave's
probably
chicken is
done.
almost done. We're
Oh
gonna
my
wrap
god!
up.
Yeah, it's totally done. So that whole
Show us the
hour,
chicken, Dave. Show us the
That's
chicken,
gonna
Dave, and then
happen.
we're gonna.
It's basically. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. See all the juices down there. You can see the bottom of the pan.
It's
It's
so moist.
I wish you
So
you
wet.
guys could smell this. It's just so wonderful. So what I'm gonna do
Wish
with
you
that
could
chicken then
smell it.
is I do it. Oh yeah. What I'm gonna do with that chicken then is I'm gonna actually I really got into the stuffed poblanos. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about?
those
Stuff
are great.
with like meat
Mhm.
and cheese, and then it has like an egg batter on it.
Yeah, chili relleno.
Yeah.
Yeah, relleno.
Well, it's funny because when you go to some of the restaurants, they call it one thing, and other restaurants they call it another thing. But like the chili relleno, yeah.
Yeah, a deep fried poblano stuffed with something.
Yeah, well,
Traditionally,
you first got to. I think first you got to roast them so it softens them up or whatever. But then, I guess it's just an egg batter. Some recipes I've seen, they use an egg batter with some flour in it, but other ones that I saw is just a straight up egg batter, and I was like, that's super awesome because, I mean, the only carbs you're taking in that meal is the pepper. And those are wonderful, wonderful fibrous carbs with good source of vitamin C in it.
This is true. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna take entropy into action, and we're gonna wrap up the show.
Okay.
But I think we've got a couple of other things to talk about, and I think they're short, little tiny blurbs on my list, but I think they could be very long, entertaining shows.
Yeah.
Specifically, Dave playing guitar and entropy. But look, guys, I appreciate everybody joining tonight. I don't even know if this is still going out live. I have no clue. I don't have a way of knowing. Right now, we are broadcasting to Facebook Live, and we are also broadcasting to YouTube. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect. We're going to end this show. We're going to check if they're still there. And I wanted to tell everybody too, tomorrow, Dave, you might be interested in this. We have the sobriety. No, that's not Wednesday. We have the sobriety show. Yeah, I should have that tonight. Wednesday, we have the sobriety show with Adam Burr and Tim Ellinger. That's going to be a lot of fun. Tomorrow, I've got a show with my good old friend Brad Jones.
What was this show called?
This
The
show
Dave-
was called
The Dave
the show
Higgins Show.
Entropy with Dave.
No entropy. No entropy. Where's the
was
entropy,
just-
man?
It's called fucking Show 9 with Dave from outer space.
Dave from outer
Show
space.
9 from outer space.
What's really funny is my son right now, when he refers to people or persons, he refers to them as humans, and I'm like, Edmund, you got to
Don't
stop
do
doing.
that.
You got to
That's a
stop calling
Zuckerberg
people
move.
humans in public because they're gonna think that like we're visiting from.
Yeah, that's a total Zuckerberg. What's Trump's son-in-law's name? Kushner. That's a total. Yes, human. I am definitely human too. How do you do? I have human emotions. I am
We're just
happy.
out here smoking some brisket.
Yes,
You see that
exactly.
one? You see that one where he's smoking brisket?
No,
Just hanging out with some friends, smoking brisket.
is that how he said
Zuck,
it?
the Zuck, yeah. Like
Yeah,
over and
well,
over and over. I'm just gonna eat this
I'm
chicken.
just here smoking some brisket. I am definitely a human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Oh
all right.
my
the
God.
show is about over.
I just
I
want
will
to
talk
say,
to everybody tomorrow.
Dave,
Dave.
real cumin seeds, real full blown, not the ground cumin.
Didn't even know they were fucking seeds, to be honest with you. Just thought it was cumin. That's how it came. Grew on a cumin tree, and it just poured out as fabric or powder. Yeah,
Does cumin come out of a tree?
sure. The cumin tree. Didn't you know that? That's actually where the phrase, when people are having intercourse comes from. Oh, I'm cumin out of my tree. Anyway, dude, we gotta go. We gotta go.
What?
I love you,
We
Dave.
gotta get out of here.
I'm ending this now. I'm ending this now before it gets any better or any worse. We're gonna just have to leave that for another day. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for joining me. If you haven't, well, hopefully you do later. And if you never do, well, fuck you, because you'll never even know that I said that. Anyway, have a good evening.
Bye.